Now then, people, and welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show, and it's time for another Leeds United video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a potential transfer for the summer, a potential exit in the goalkeeping position, and of course, we're going to be talking about the enigma that is Victor Orta. Love him or hate him, he fills the pages of Leeds United news for sure, that is for certain. Now, before we get into the video, please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course hit that notification bell, and let's get into it. I don't think I do it. Arsenal started like a house on fire. Signing number 2 for this new era. It's Judgment Day, people. Yeah! What did your boy tell you? It was never in doubt. Never in doubt. Don't believe in any luck, I believe I'm self-made, yeah. Before we touch on any of that transfer gossip and any sort of Leeds United related news, we have had some positive news considering Willian Gnonto and Max Wöber. By all accounts, as reported by Phil here in The Athletic just yesterday, they have avoided lengthy absences after carrying out assessments at Thorpe Arch. They are doubts for the weekend's game at Arsenal, but again, I'm not too fussed. Rest them for that one. We need them fit, firing, ready to go for, of course, Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace, our next 2 home games, and Liverpool even the Monday after, because I think we can get something in that as well. So if they're touch and go, don't risk them. It is what it is. We're going to Premier League leaders at their own ground. They've been flying this season. Let's not risk them because we're not expected to get anything anyway. But Leeds United are rather optimistic that both will be fit to feature in the majority of the games left. And of course, we've got about 11 games left, 10 after this weekend. So as long as they're fit for that, that is a massive, massive plus. We know Tyler Adams is going to be out for the rest of the season. We can't be dealing with Gnonto or Wöber being out. So rest them for Arsenal for me unless they're 100%. And let's get them ready for Tuesday night against Forest. Now, before we touch on incomings and outgoings, the 2 that I want to touch on today, we're going to be talking about the man that deals with that, okay? It's Victor Orta, of course. Now, he's been doing an interview over in Spain. It's a pretty candid interview. He was pretty open about struggles he's experienced in the last 12 months. For me, he's basically saying it's almost a come and get me plea for a club in Spain. We know that Victor Orta has done a good job at times at Leeds United, but the last 18 months for Leeds, both him, you know, Angus and Radrazani, it's just gone from bad to worse. It's been a terrible 18 months. But, you know, I'll always be grateful for what Victor's done. And there has been times when clubs like Roma and other clubs in Spain have definitely looked to maybe acquire Victor Orta. He is well thought of. And much like players, when they speak in the media, it almost felt like a come and get me plea, to be honest. He's basically said that he, you know, he feels selfish. He wants his son's grandparents to spend more time with him, which you can understand, of course. And he did say, look, my home is Spain and I will have to return. And he did say once upon a time that he won't leave Leeds till we're in Europe. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon whilst he is at the helm, if I'm honest. So maybe he's coming to terms with that fact and saying, look, I do want to move on. To be honest, a lot of Leeds fans will say, okay, that's fine. You know, he did receive a bit of abuse. You know, he did a statement back in the YEP, you know, back in November, I think, but it doesn't help the situation because we know we've been there when he's been going, sack of the board, all this sort of stuff. There was a lot of news coming out that him and Angus were going to stay in the interim to help, you know, the smooth transition of the San Francisco 49ers takeover. But I'm not too sure, you know, that will be seen. We know that he's still out there. He's active. We know that we're close to signing Ilyas Akumak, the Barcelona youth player, 18-year-old. You know, there's talks of contracts, etc. for certain players. Cork, Harrison, Meslier we're going to touch on. We're going to be touching on Manuel Ugarte as well, who Leeds United have been heavily linked to in the past 24 to 48 hours. So he's still obviously partaking in his role and still doing bits behind the scenes. But one thing's for sure, basically him issuing this come and get me plea, the flavour of Leeds United fans, I think a lot of us would say, okay, thank you for the memories, Victor, in a sense, because he did give us a lot. He did bring us Marcelo Bielsa, but we'll happily let you go home. You know, we'll happily let you go home. It's definitely gone sour in the last 18 months. He has made some great acquisitions. He's made some dud acquisitions. He will always forever split opinion for me. You know me, I'm a bit of a passion merchant. And I like that side of Victor, but it also can spill off into the negative as well when he's saying to fans, shh, all that sort of stuff. So I do think both sides of the coin have come to the end of their tenure and said, you know what, thank you and goodbye, you know. Yeah, and that's my thoughts on Victor and his come and get me plea. If you want to go to Spain, I'll happily put you on the plane, brother. But thank you, genuinely. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on Victor Orta. Would you want him to stay to maybe look over this smooth transition to the 49ers, or is it clean break? Let's move. Let's start putting some cash in and, you know, acquiring some ready players as opposed to those that are on the up and coming trajectory, or those that are reclamation projects where it hasn't gone well and then it's turned around for them, you know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, before we get to Ugarte, I want to talk about Ilyan Meslier, okay? I'm a massive advocate of Ilyan Meslier. I think he will go to the top of the game. I think he will be France's #1. I think he is that good. He will undoubtedly play for a Champions League, you know, squad. You don't get linked with the likes of Man United, Tottenham, Chelsea, PSG in the past, Bayern Munich, if you are not a good goalkeeper. That's why it genuinely surprises me when I look on social media how many people are readily able to say, do you know what, yeah, wipe our hands of him, you know, he can move on for me. There's better out there. I've seen people, you know, talking about Bazunu at Southampton and that. I'm like, be careful what you wish for, you know. You do not know what you've got until it's gone. Meslier is streets ahead of these. Now, someone did make a good point on social media and said, I hear what you're saying, Joe, but also when you look at clubs like Fulham that have got Bert Leno, you look at Nottingham Forest that have got Keylor Navas, and are they ahead of Meslier right now? Yeah, I would have to say that. So Leeds United have a player that has massive potential, and it made me think: is it in Leeds United's best interest to hold on to him when I feel, and I assume a lot of you feel, unless we get Champions League football in the next, you know, couple of seasons, that he will inevitably move on? At which point we haven't then got his best years. So is it worth cashing in now and, you know, bringing someone in who is like, you know, similar age profile to Keylor Navas, etc., that's getting to the end of their career, that probably will improve us? Or do we hold on to Meslier? Just on what Meslier's had to say. You know, he was speaking, obviously, whilst away on under 21 duties, you know, about his time at Lorient, and he's moved to Leeds United, and he said, listen, you know, it was the best thing for me in the end. He did say it would be a mistake for him to project oneself so far and look ahead to the future, because, you know, unless he does well, then no one's going to come looking for him anyway. But he said, I will always take the time to think about my future with a clear head. And that's one thing Meslier does have. Like, he spent time at Lorient. He could have moved to Chelsea. He decided against it. Then when he was #2 at Lorient, he said, right, I need to move on. He came on loan to the Championship. He's got a very smart head on his shoulders. And let's not forget, like, those that are so scathing towards Meslier, which I find quite wild. This guy's got he's got over 100 appearances in the Premier League. You know, he broke Joe Hart's record that had stood for a long time for most clean sheets for anyone under the age of 21. He came in for a Kiko Casilla who was faltering, obviously. He got his ban, etc. But without Meslier, do we even go up? I thought he was that good. But I am just genuinely surprised at the general opinion of the majority, it would seem, of Leeds United fans that are ready to move him on and are saying, oh, do you know what, we should go Bazunu. That was one that was mentioned, Kelleher at Liverpool, etc. I don't see the upside in getting them when you have, for me, one of the best young goalkeepers. I mean, this might be wild, but I look at David De Gea, and David De Gea came to Manchester United at 20-odd-year-old, and he's still now smashing it. The only problem I have is that, do I think Meslier will still be with us towards the end of his career? What's De Gea now, 32 or something? 31, I don't know, even maybe older. But will we get Meslier then? Because I think his star will continue to shine, his stock will continue to rise, and inevitably he will move on to a Premier League club. It's quite interesting. It's an interesting topic to discuss. At which point do you say, right, okay, now's the time to cash in on Meslier? And everyone keeps telling me there's other goalkeepers out there. I've heard people mention Ben Foster before this season. I know he's gone Wrexham and that, but at the end of the season, we should get him, etc. But I just don't understand that logic. For me personally, we have one of the best young up-and-coming goalkeepers. Keep him for as long as you can. You know, that's my thought process on it. But rightly so, people do make good points when you mention Keylor Navas, etc. at Forest. But it's an interesting one. And I want to know as well in the comments, like, how much are you valuing Meslier at? Because according to Transfermarkt, his current market value is around about 22 million. For me, I want 40, 50. I'm genuinely, I don't even think that's out of the realms of possibility. You look at what we got for Calvin, etc. You know, you look at what we got for Rafinha, they're all a little bit further on the road than him. He's still very young. You're paying for potential. Look what we paid for Orta, for example. I want 40, 50 million. I think 22 million. Look, transfer market isn't always correct. You're looking at Premier League tax. You're looking at his age profile, the fact that he's in the French youth setup and probably will get into the first team at some point. I want big bucks for Meslier if indeed he is going to move on. But I don't want him to move on. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I know it'll be stacked with Meslier ins and outs, because it seems to split opinion, and I genuinely find that hard to fathom at times, because I think he's quality. And has the potential to be elite. So why you'd want to move him on, I don't know. But again, football's about opinions, right? To finish up, folks, it's been reported in a few publications now over the last 24 to 48 hours that Leeds United are in the hunt for Manuel Ugarte from Sporting Lisbon. He's been likened very much to Pellegrini, who's, you know, coming in at Fulham and absolutely smashing it in the Premier League. There is a lot of, you know, clubs that are looking at Pellegrini now in the top six thinking, why did we sleep on this guy? Because he's improved them immensely. We know, obviously, he's got that wonder strike in the FA Cup against Leeds United as well. And Leeds United are dipping the toe for another midfielder. And it is reported that we are interested in a summer transfer move for Manuel Ugarte. Uruguayan defensive midfielder. He's been linked to clubs like Tottenham, etc. in the past, and I think his agent's spoken directly to them. I believe he has a release clause as well that Leeds United are would be willing to activate. Now, this release clause does stand at a staggering like 50 odd million, which is a lot of money for Leeds United. But when you consider what we paid for Orta, you consider that we might have another year's worth of Premier League. You may be looking at some outgoings, some more players off the wage bill. I think Harrison may move. I don't want him to, but I think he may be sold. I think you might even look at a Rodrigo who's on 100k a week, age profile. Do they look to move him on and reinvest that money into the squad? It remains to be seen. It's been reported as well that Leeds United sent scouts to watch Ugarte play at the Emirates against Arsenal in the Europa League, which of course they progressed in. And he's considered one of the best young talents in European football. And of course, he's playing at Sporting, he's playing in the Europa League, etc. Why would you move to the Premier League? Well, Pellegrini did it. This is what I'm saying. The Premier League, the pull of the Premier League is just unrivaled for me. And he's played like 37 times over in Lisbon in the Portuguese league. So he has a lot of experience, both, you know, in the division and the European football as well. Now, of course, it's going to be a hard transfer for Leeds United to pull off, especially when you consider the transfer fee, his age profile, and he's considered one of the most naturally talented young number sixes in the world right now. Great engine, crunching tackles, adaptness with the ball at his feet as well. And when you consider a lot of clubs, I think Newcastle, Tottenham, etc., have all, you know, gone to have a look at him, then it is going to be hard for Leeds United to do. Could we see an exit potentially? I've been listening to a podcast, big shout out All Stats and We, and they were making the point about Tyler Adams and how if a new manager comes in, does Tyler Adams fit that profile? Tyler Adams' profile has risen due to his good season with Leeds United, but here's the adapt at what will maybe an Arne Slot or a Iriola would ask if they were to come in. Maybe not so. So we could see some surprise transfers in the summer. It will be interesting to see how 49ers attack it. Personally, I'd like them to keep the bulk of the squad. Maybe move on some of the older guard, if you like, and those that are out on loan, Dan James, Tyler Roberts, etc., and just bolster the squad. And someone like an Ugarte would be a marquee signing for Leeds United. Do I think it's doable? Probably not. You know, we have been linked with him, but there'll be a host of Premier League clubs after him, not least Tottenham, for example. They'll have a new manager. They'll want to make moves, etc. So it's one to watch, but again, it seems a bit unrealistic for me at the moment. But we'll wait and see. As I say, look, the Premier League is about to start again, and we have 11 games left for Premier League survival. So all eyes on that. I will be live tomorrow, obviously, reacting to the press conference news. Then we'll have a preview, hopefully an Oppo preview, your watch along. It's going to be all go between now and the end of the season, and I'm really excited to cover it for you. Please smash a like on the video for me, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace out.